What's good, YouTube, and welcome to another KaibaHacksDartz Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today we're here with another deck list, deck profile, deck update, whatever you like to call it. And this is our Skull Servant deck for December 2024. As always, this is a work in progress, so make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you stay tuned for future updates of this deck and other deck profiles. But if you don't know, Skull Servant, he's a classic card that has kind of baked up his own archetype throughout the years. And what that revolves around is getting as many Skull Servants or other monsters that will become Skull Servant in the graveyard. Get as many of them in the graveyard so you can boost up the king of the Skull Servants. So we're running 3 normal Skull Servant, just a classic little boy. And we do have a little bit of a direct attack twist on this deck, something I'm trying out in kind of lieu of some of the Skull Servant cards. Unfortunately, we only have 1 King of the Skull Servants, but I'd definitely tech this up to 2, 3, just because he can obviously boost off his own attack as well when he's in the graveyard, and that way I can get out more of them consistently. But in lieu of that, we just have ways to, bring him back more often, get him out of the deck more often, and, maybe bring him back if he's banished or something like that, as well as some other plays. But he's one of your main boys. Moving on, we got 3 White Baking, one of my favorite cards, just because he's such a little meme lord. And it is, this card's name becomes Skull Servant while it is in the graveyard. And if a level 3 or lower zombie monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can discard this card instead. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 2 monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, except White Baking, that are either Skull Servant or mention it. Then discard 1 card. So of course a lot of this stuff is getting the White Bakings in the graveyard, other white cards that have their names become Skull Servant. So of course we can boost this boy up because, he gets 1,000 attack for each one of them that are in the graveyard. Plus his own little effect to kind of recycle them. But 3 of the White Bakings can help to boost that attack, of course. Moving on, we got 3 White Lord. And as always, if you have any suggestions for this deck as I go through, make sure to leave them in the comments. Always open to new stuff. But we got the White Lord here, and it is, this card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard, like 90% of them do that. And you can only use each of the following effects of White Lord once per turn. If you have Skull Servant or King of the Skull Servants in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard up to the number of Skull Servant and King of Skull Servants in your graveyard. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Skull Servant or King of Skull Servants in your graveyard and special summon it. So, obviously, a real easy way to bring them out, and a good way to mill some cards to hopefully boost the attack of your King of the Skull Servants. Moving on, we got 2 White Princess. All this stuff, I'd recommend, basically taking to 3, just so you can get even more attack power, but the numbers can be worked with, and of course, I'll have future updates when I kind of refine the deck a bit more. And it is, this card's name becomes Skull Servant while it is in the graveyard, of course. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send 1 White Prince from your deck to the graveyard. And during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, and all monsters on the field lose attack and defense equal to their own level / rank times 300. So it can be used to, kind of make things have some lower attack, then bring out something beefier after the fact. But of course, just for more boost effects on stuff, and for getting that White Prince in the grave, which we have 2 of. Like I said, you could bring her up to 3. And it's, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 Skull Servant and 1 Lady in White from your hand or deck to the graveyard. And you can banish 2 Skull Servants and this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 King of Skull Servants from your deck. So, obviously, we can bring him out pretty easily and recycle him pretty easily. So I figure the 1 is okay-ish enough, but like I said, I'd like to boost it up, that king. And these boys are pretty decent for doing that. Next, we have 2 of the Lady in White. Face up level 3 or lower zombie type monsters you control, except the Lady in White, cannot be destroyed by battle and are unaffected by card effects, or unaffected by the effects of spell and trap cards, sorry. And it is treated as Skull Servant while it's in your graveyard. So it's a nice little wall piece, and it's a good way to keep them on the field. Next, we got 2 Gozuki. Obviously, you could throw some Mizukis in here. I know I have some somewhere, but I don't know where I put them. They might be in a deck right now or in some kind of the primordial ooze of a deck. So we got the Gozukis, at least for now. During your main phase, you can send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. Obviously, a great way to line up some different plays. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish 1 zombie monster from your graveyard to special summon 1 zombie monster from your hand. So, another way to just kind of recycle-y stuff, get stuff out. Works pretty well with the deck. Little fun monster I threw in was the Samurai Skull, because, you know, they're the Skull Servants, so I figure, you know, he kind of fits in. He's a zombie. I thought it was funny. Plus, his effect kind of works with the stuff, so we got, when this card is normal summoned, you can send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. Of course, that's some tech to maybe get some of the plays going off with the white monsters and Skull Servants. And if this face-up card and its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower zombie monster from your deck. So I figure this would also kind of be a good combo with the Lady in White. If you happen to get both of them out on the field, you know, he can't be destroyed by battle or spell and traps, so they're going to have to use card effect. They're going to hit him, and then he's going to be popped, and then you can special summon a king from your deck or whatever you need to extend those plays to get to a king. So I figured he was a fun little inclusion, and it's funny that he is a skull, and, you know, they're the Skull Servants. Threw in a Spirit Reaper, of course, for a little tech protection, a little bit more defense, maybe in lieu of like a Lady in White, or just some more white cards. Next, we got 3 Card Trooper. Now, there's a lot of different stuff you could trade this out for. There's a lot of like Light Sworn plays you could get into, but I figured this would just kind of work in lieu of some of the other cards that I might be missing. But it is once per turn, you can choose a number from 1 to 3, then send that many cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, and this card gains 500 attack for each card sent to the graveyard this way, until the end of this turn, and if this card you control is destroyed and sent to your graveyard, draw 1 card. So the draw 1 card is kind of a bonus, but of course we can kind of beef him up, and then he works with some of the other plays that I have in the deck, and of course just getting Skull Servants and white monsters into the graveyard. That concludes the monsters. Moving into the real fun kind of stuff that I'm throwing in, but it's still working on, of course, is 3 Infected Male. Now, this is once per turn, you can target 1 level 4 or lower monster you control. It can attack your opponent directly this turn, and send it to the graveyard at the end of the battle phase. So, this is a perfect card. If we get that King of Skull Servants out, and he has, you know, we have 8 Skull Servant monsters, or white monsters that are named Skull Servant related, you know, he's up to 8,000, and we can literally go in for just an 8,000 attack directly, because he's level 1. Or just, it, of course, works with all your other boys. If you need to get them in the graveyard, you can attack directly, and then they'll also go into the graveyard, and, you know, Bob's your uncle, you're in. Of course, it works with the Card Trooper as well. That's why I kind of felt it was nice. You can bring the Card Trooper out, mill 3, maybe you have some plays set up. He's up to, you know, 1,900. Attack with him directly for 1,900. He goes to the grave, then you can draw 1 card off of him. So he's a good way to pop that off, or maybe get him off the field if you're doing some other kind of zombie plays. But I figure this is some real fun sauce for the deck. Another card I'm working on, only have 1 copy right now, but trying it out, is target 1 zombie monster you control with 2,000 or less attack. It can attack your opponent directly this turn. So there's a couple ways, obviously just monsters with 2,000 or less. We have a lot of those that are zombie. If you know you were trying to get the Card Trooper more specifically, you could throw in Zombie World, DNA Surgery, stuff like that to make other monsters into zombies to maybe work well with this card more specifically if you had more of them. Another way you could maybe do it is if you have King of the Skull Servants real early, you could summon him, get him out, use Overpowering Eye when he has less than 2,000, then maybe pop off and get a couple extra, you know, cards into the grave, because his attack doesn't have to stay at less than 2,000. So you can get that, you know, maybe he has 1,000 or 2,000, and, you know, you only have 2 in the grave. You use this, and then you get some more in the grave, boost them up, attack for an OTK maybe. But like I said, it's just some extra sauce in the deck, working on those kind of zombie direct attack plays, and I feel like this is fun for it, especially with Infected Male sending them to the graveyard to maybe get some more effects off. Next, we have Symbol of Heritage. We're running this at 2. It is, you can activate this card while there are 3 monsters with the same name in your graveyard. Select one of them and special summon it to your side of the field and equip it with this card. When this card is destroyed, destroy the equipped monster. So, since they're all going to be named Skull Servant in the graveyard, we can pop this off multiple times in one turn, because, you know, it's not once per turn. And we could bring out a bunch of monsters, especially, you know, some different weird plays. And it would work good if you had 3 King of the Skull Servants in your graveyard as well. So, I figure that works in. Another little piece that's very similar. Monster Reincarnation. Discard 1 card from your hand and add 1 monster card from your graveyard to your hand. So some of them are popping off effects once they are in your hand and you discard. So you can basically discard 1 Skull Servant-y monster to get its graveyard effects, add 1 that you can use some hand effects to get it back in the graveyard, do more stuff. So I figure it kind of works in, it techs out, and it's, you know, it's fun. Of course, like I said, if you have any upgrades for this deck or any ideas, let me know in the comments. Next, we just have 1 copy of Card Destruction. I figure if you could kind of go off with some plays, have a bunch of Skull Servants in your hand, or maybe you need a kind of a reset or something, you can Card Destruct, maybe get a bunch more effects off, and then get some more stuff in your hand. And of course, it can interfere with a lot of, you know, opponents' plays. Next, another one-off that's just kind of fun sauce is Pyramid of Wonders. Figured it's kind of like the Pyramid of Light, but it's, you know, it's like for zombies and it's weird. It is, all zombie monsters you control gain 200 attack for each monster your opponent controls. And if exactly 1 zombie monster you control and no other cards would be destroyed, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. So I figured it's a little bit of weird protection. It's a little bit of a boost, you know. I thought it was fun to throw in. Obviously, in the future, I'd probably replace that, depending on how the plays of the deck kind of, you know, function out. Next, we have Zombie Reborn. I threw this in just because I figure with the kind of lack of King of the Skull Servants, we need some ways to get him back. So we can get him back from the graveyard. We can get him out of the deck relatively easily. But I figured if he got banished, we can use something like this to hopefully bring him back. So, you know, or something else. Next, we have Forbidden Dress. Target 1 face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. Loses 600 attack, but it cannot be targeted or destroyed by other card effects. Some more protection for our King of the Skull Servants to hopefully keep him out. Maybe one more turn or something. Next, we got Double Summon. Some of those plays, you know, they have to be on the field, or we're just popping off, getting rid of stuff, doing different plays. Double Summon helps out. Mage Power, I threw in. And, you know, you could replace this with a lot, but I figured if we get some good direct attacks kind of lined up, drop a Mage Power, and maybe go for some extra damage. Of course, that could go on pretty much anything. Then we threw in a Foolish Burial. Great way to get, you know, whatever you need in the graveyard to extend those plays, get a combo off. And then a Monster Reborn, of course. Like I said, there's a lot of tech that can be done for that aspect as well of the spells. Lastly, for traps, we just have a Divine Wrath, a classic card that I love. You know, when a monster effect is activated, discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. I figure with the, you know, the Skull Servant-y plays, yeah, you are kind of going, you're you know, minus a bit on that stuff, but it is, you know, discarding, getting their effects off, while also kind of doing something else. So I figured it works out in the deck. Moving into the extra deck, we don't really have too much sauce in here. I don't have a lot of zombie extra deck stuff, let alone at all, in here at the moment. I know I have some around, but we're kind of figuring it out. For now, I just have some generic-y kind of level 1 links. And this dude is 2 monsters with the same type, but a link 3. Or not links, XZ, sorry. Level 1 XZs. But these guys aren't too special, you know what I mean? They're just kind of some knockoff-y stuff to maybe just get monsters quickly off the field, or to cover up, like this guy is basically a stall piece. It's unaffected by other card effects. Once per turn, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card. For the rest of this turn, you cannot be destroyed by battle, or this card cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, you take no battle damage. So I figured you could go into 2 Skull Servant-y level 1 dudes, pop off, get them in the graveyard, and then, you know, bring out with some more King of Skull Servants or whatever and do some stuff. It's basically just a hand or an extra deck Wabaku. The rest are, you know, just kind of generic-y stuff. Nothing too special. Like I said, I can just kind of run through them if you want to kind of read them off. I'm not too excited about what's in the extra deck so far, but I have been just kind of focusing the main deck plays, trying to figure it out, get it more together. Like I said, if you have any suggestions, I know there's some Light Sworn plays that could go really well with the deck. I am just trying out different stuff with the direct attacks. Let me know if there's any other pieces I could maybe throw in. I know there's like Passage to the Hidden Treasure or whatever, and I think that's monsters with 1,000 or less attack can attack directly, which can be used. It could be popped off maybe. Let me know if you have any other ideas. Of course, make sure to check out my other deck profiles. I make them pretty often, as well as, you know, pack openings, Yu-Gi-Oh! DIY projects. So, you know, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Almost at 750. You know, we're moving up pretty quick, and I appreciate the love from the community. And make sure to hit that little notification bell so you know when future content's coming out. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Peace.